Good evening, good morning, and good day. A very warm welcome to you all to this episode in a series of webinars from global e-commerce experts. My name's Ricky Hooker, and today's episode touches on the essential but sometimes black art of Amazon advertising, and specifically automating and optimizing your adverts. Fitting right in the center of GE's now famous and well-trodden 6-step expansion guide, the blueprint that has grown hundreds of our clients' brands, Amazon adverts are an essential part of raising your profile and occupying those enviable top slots and the buy button. But like I say, it's somewhat of a black art. So we're joined today by two Amazon ad ninjas from Sellozo, an optimization software dedicated to Amazon sellers. Dustin and Chris, a very warm welcome to you both. Let's briefly hear about you both and how the service works, and we can explore how sellers can benefit from optimizing and automating their ads. So let's start with you, Dustin. I hear you were a tennis pro.
Yes, I was in a past life. Yep. So that's how I sort of started my entrepreneurial journey. So I graduated college, played tennis in college, did a little semi-pro stuff, and then was teaching tennis. So I had to develop my own client base, et cetera. It got me involved in entrepreneurship. But that later on, I did that for about 15 to 20 years. And in 2014, I started my own Amazon FBA business, grew that to where I could quit my job. I stopped teaching tennis, was full-time Amazon seller. And that led to me becoming an account executive here at Sellozo. So I have the pleasure of talking with Amazon sellers every day about their advertising, and then also partnered up with Chris to start our podcast to Amazon sellers and a microphone, which has been a blast. It's helped us really network in the community, which the Amazon world is a great community. For sure.
So I guess that your tennis, your semi-pro days really kind of zoned you into that kind of winning attitude that it takes to optimize everything in life, right down to your Amazon adverts.
For sure. Well, what's interesting, Chris and I talk about this a lot, is the Amazon space it's competitive. It's a game. You're trying to find the right products, you're trying to find the right niches, and then you have to do better than your competitors out there. So having a competitive spirit certainly helps you run a better business on Amazon. And then advertising is competitive as well. I mean, you're competing for bids and for placement. So it's a game, and it makes it really fun. That's probably my favorite part about this whole business, is the competitiveness of it.
Fantastic. And Chris, you're the other half of the two Amazon sellers and a microphone.
Yeah, that would be me. And to Dustin's credit, he was the one pushing the podcast. And so finally we did it. It's been great. We get to learn from a lot of experts in the field. But backing up a little bit, I've been in the Amazon space now for 7 years. I used to work at an e-commerce company that just sold strictly on their own website. And then at some point they decided to go to Amazon. So that kind of sparked my interest and got me interested in this whole private label game. I was let go of that position and joined Sellozo, which has been awesome. I get to talk to sellers every day. Dustin and I are sellers. So we've been through like the hard account suspensions, and the products get delisted and the ASINs get suspended. Like, we've been through all of that. So we get to talk to sellers daily that just have similar issues. And something that Dustin and I have always talked about is selling on Amazon it's kind of like a lonely experience, right? Like, you don't really have anybody to talk to. You're kind of doing your own thing. Your parents don't understand what you're doing. Your family has no idea what that means. So it's good to have some people to like bounce ideas off of. So that's what I love doing at Sellozo. So I help sellers every day with their Amazon PPC. And then we do that podcast every day just so people can get knowledge. And again, we use Sellozo for our own businesses. So it's been great.
Excellent. So Global E-commerce Experts is a full expansion service business that takes clients right from the beginning of their international expansion to fully optimized on Amazon and other marketplaces across the world. So typically our clients already have some working knowledge of Amazon. They've probably already got a brand or some kind of marketplace sales. So this information for them will be crucial to their expansion journey to save some time, optimize what's going on in their home country, or also perhaps either both or as well as to optimize automating their Amazon ads in other countries where they might not have time to do that themselves. So, guys, tell us a little bit about Sellozo, how you work, and the ways in which it can grow sellers' businesses.
Yeah, just to kind of chime in real quick, and Dustin, I'll pass it to you. That second slide that we showed, you guys showed, it has all those tasks to do. There was one that said Shopify. There was one that said like EU stuff. That second slide that had all those tasks that sellers need to worry on. I think we're getting here in a second.
Here we go.
Yeah, this is there's probably even more that sellers have to do, like as far as constantly worrying about what do I do here? How do I ship something? I need to get a list build. I need Shopify. We're just taking that one little piece of PPC and we're just taking that off your plate and we're just automating that so you can focus on other things like this. So that's one real bonus to this is we're going to automate your Amazon ads so you can do all these other things and focus on all these other things. And in the background, Sellozo is going to take care of the PPC for you. Dustin and I are going to do onboarding calls with you. We're going to show you really how it works. But that's kind of one thing I want to point to here because that's what Sellozo is helping sellers. It's automating the ads so that you can focus on other things like this. That's what you got there.
And isn't that absolutely? I mean, imagine but back in the days when you guys were running your own Amazon FBA businesses yourself. If you then had to think through the process of, oh, right, now is a good time for me to expand to Amazon in the UK or Amazon in the EU, across the EU, potentially doubling your market, where's that time and bandwidth going to come from? So it's a really important part of trying not just to work to grow your business, but to work smarter in the process. So I'm really pleased that you raised that, Chris.
Yeah, and to touch on that even more, that's a true personal story for me. But I mean, before automation and stuff existed, I did look at expanding, and I even went through all that. I mean, it was back even before services like you existed, where you could help streamline this process for people. But I started looking to expanding into Canada, the UK, etc. And what I had to do to expand was going to take too much time. I was so busy with what I had to do, just managing my ads and my listings, except in the US marketplace, that I stopped it. I put a halt on it and had to focus. Now that we're able to automate a lot more of this process, it makes it a lot easier to consider the expansion process, which every seller should be doing. That's exactly where the market is right now. You can, like you said, you can double your market in one expansion. Just by adopting the UK and the European market, you could double your potential sales. So yeah, that's where the automation comes in. So let me give a brief overview of what Sellozo does here. We can go to that first slide that touches on Sellozo here, and I will give you a quick just overview, because the way I like to describe it, there is lots of tools out there in the space. You can go to the next slide if you don't mind, so I can touch on some of the benefits here. So what Sellozo does is Sellozo is a full suite of tools for sellers. We offer a lot of really in-depth reporting that's very helpful. So a lot of things that you need to know, like your total ACoS, which includes your organic sales. That's obviously a good indicator of how well your advertising is going. We're reporting on that stuff. We're breaking things down at the product level so you can see your profitability at the SKU level. You can change marketplaces real easily, see where you're profitable in different marketplaces, etc. And we're fully automating your advertising. So we have a self-managed and we also have a phenomenal team of experts that can fully manage it for you as well. But the basis of Sellozo is what Sellozo allows you to do is it allows you to completely automate whatever your strategy is that you're using for your advertising. If you don't have one, we have a whole bunch of templates that we can use. So for example, if you're launching products and you're running automatic targeting campaigns, and every week you're pulling those search term reports and you're trying to find the keywords and the ASINs that are converting, and you're then moving them to manual campaigns, whether they're broad, phrase, or exact, and then now you're monitoring those, and you have some goal, some target goal of what you're trying to do, and you're adjusting your bids on all those targets. That's a lot of manual work, and of course it's exponential as you grow your product line. in terms of how much work that is. Sellozo allows you to automate that entire process. We have a proprietary solution called our Campaign Studio, which we'll talk about here in a minute, that allows you to link campaigns up and have the keyword transfers based on your rules. We also have an AI-based algorithm that's adjusting all of your bids every day based on a target ACOS that you set for your campaigns. So really, it can be set up very quickly. You're talking about 20 seconds, 30 seconds to a minute to set up a full campaign pattern where every day, everything from keyword discovery to keyword transfers to negative keyword creation to daily bid adjustments are all handled automatically by Sellozo, where the only input it needs is what's your budget and what's your target ACOS for those campaigns. So it's really, really powerful. And I want to touch on, before I turn it over to Chris here in a second, one thing that makes it so valuable is you're controlling the strategy, but it's automated. So it's not like you're giving up control, because I know a lot of sellers, they have an idea of what their goal is, like whether they're trying to rank, whether you have a ranking strategy going on right now where you're aggressive with your advertising, you have aggressive targets, or whether you're in a more mature phase where you're trying to rein in your ad spend towards the target ACOS. It can automate that. All you have to do is set it. And if you're looking to expand, you've just now doubled your potential investment in time in your PPC, because whatever you've done in the US, now you got to recreate them, all those campaigns, everything in whatever new marketplace you go to. And it could be even more, because you would have to do it in Germany, in Spain, in Italy, in the UK. You're talking about different languages, lots of different barriers. So when you can automate that, it can really save you a lot of time, and it can help you reach your goals. Because me as a seller, obviously I understand advertising. I love everything about PPC on Amazon, but I really hate digging through spreadsheets. I like seeing an overall picture of where I'm trending, where I'm going, and be able to set it. And that's what Sellozo allows you to do. So it's really, really powerful. Chris, let me turn it over to you so you can take a little bit more here.
Yeah, one thing, just to kind of have an example here. I'm working with a seller now who's in the U.S. marketplace and the UK marketplace and in Australia. He's located in Australia. He is signed up with Sellozo, is currently in trial, and he is doing about $1,000, let's say $1,000 a month in the UK marketplace. We went to Sellozo, we turned on the optimizer. He set his target ACOS of 30%. In 2 weeks, he's now doing $4,000 a month in revenue in Sellozo. He sent me an email 2 days ago. Chris, what did you do to my UK account? I said, Brian, all I did was just turn on the optimizer, set your target ACOS of 30%, and the Sellozo optimizer did all the rest. So that's how he's not having to focus on that anymore. He's located in Australia. He's trying to grow that marketplace. We're taking care of the UK over here with his PPC ads. We're also doing the PPC ads for his US account, and we're doing the Australian account. He works a full-time job, and his first call to me was, I just need somebody to do all the PPC for me. No problem. Set up your PPC, set up your campaigns, do your target ACOS, and then the software does the rest. He can track it. He can look at it. So the thing I'm trying to get through here, and I think that relates to sellers, because Dustin and I are both sellers, is we're working full-time jobs. There's a lot of sellers that are doing this on their part-time, like at night when they get home. This is just one of the areas we're just trying to automate, so you can go negotiate with your supplier. You can go figure out better terms. You can get better products. Sellozo will take care of the rest. Let's move to the next slide. Okay, so on the left-hand side here, you got some screenshots of what the tool looks like a little bit inside of the software. And on the top one there, that's a before picture of Sellozo. So this is very similar to that story I just told. This guy was doing about $1,000 a month, and then all of a sudden we turn on the optimizer, and now he's where that other box is. So this very simple turn on of the switch. The second box down, you can see there's a little green toggle there. That's all that the seller needs to do, is just turn on this that toggle and tell us the target ACOS for that campaign. Something I want to talk about, Dustin, you can chime in if you want to as well. That target ACOS, a lot of people get confused on what that really is. For me, it's your break-even profit margin. So if you're selling a widget and it gets 40% margins on it, your target, your break-even is going to be that 40%. That allows the software to like be aggressive with your bids and by staying with your profit margin. So we get that a lot. Like my PPC ACoS is this, but my target ACoS is that. Like that's what we're talking about. You just tell us the target, and then the software takes care of the rest. And then we got some other things down here at the bottom. This day parting. So there's a lot going on in the Amazon space where you can use this feature called day parting. What day parting is doing is pausing and unpausing the campaign during certain times of day based off of the sales. So we've just rolled out a feature where we can look back the last 30 days of that campaign, and we can see what times a day you're getting sales within that campaign. And then what you as a seller can do is use our day parting feature and make sure your campaigns are turned on during that time of day. It works really well if you have a limited budget. I'm myself. I only do about $30, $40 a day on a campaign, but I want to make sure I keep that budget for the highest converting times from that campaign. So I use that day parting feature. And just for an example, I'll pause my campaign at midnight and I won't turn it on again. The software won't turn it on again until 8 a.m. and then it'll run for the rest of the day. What I'm doing there is I'm making sure that my budget is going to start spending at 8 a.m. and throughout the rest of the day. Because as the day goes on, the cost per clicks, they start out really high because whoever has the highest bid is going to get all that sales. And as the day goes on, they get a little bit lower because the people run out of budget. So these are just 3 things that we do. The negative keywords, the branch trades, and the day parting that we do, that we automate, that you can use inside Sellozo. And to touch on something really quick here, we're not automating right away. Like you're not logging into Sellozo and everything starts to get automated. The first thing you do is just have a little call with Dustin and I. And we just talk about your campaigns. And if you're not ready, we'll just say, hey, you're not ready yet, go do this, go make sure you get better listings and so forth. And then from there, you pick the campaigns. So if you got some campaigns that are doing really well and you love working with them and they work really well and you don't want the software to touch it, we won't touch it. That's another thing that kind of keeps us a little bit separate, is we're not launching brand new campaigns. We're working with your existing ones. Let's go on to the next slide, Dustin. I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll touch on just 2 things real quick to piggyback off what Chris said. Day parting, there's so much opportunity for efficiency in day parting. This is one of those things you talk about where you have to have automation for this. I mean, otherwise you're setting an alarm clock and going in and pausing and turning on your campaigns. But we see it across the board. I mean, if you think about it, Chris mentioned this, but in the US marketplace, every campaign goes active at 12:01 a.m. Pacific time. In the UK, I believe it's midnight Greenwich time. And so if your campaign's turning on, everybody else's is turning on. And like Chris mentioned, the cost per clicks go down as everyone else runs out of budget. You can avoid those times, really make some efficiencies in your campaigns in terms of how you're spending your money, and as well as running different campaigns for different times of the day. That's another thing that's easy to do inside Sellozo, where you may have a hero time of the day where you want to be really aggressive, have much higher bids, and then you have a weaker time of the day where you could be less aggressive. So that's one main thing. And the other thing is like I talked about, inside Sellozo, it automates your strategy. Like Chris mentioned about your break even for your target ACoS. That's a great long-term strategy. It allows you to spend the maximum amount on advertising without losing money on those sales from ads. So you get the best bang for your buck with that strategy. But let's say you're launching a new product right now and you want to do a really aggressive ranking strategy. Well, you only have to make one adjustment. Raise that target ACoS really high. You don't have to do anything else. Sellozo is going to make all the bid adjustments for you. It's going to move it up for you so that you're showing sort of at the top of the page. So it's really simple. It's like a lever that you can pull to get the desired result that you want. So that makes it really easy. The other thing, looking at this sheet now, bulk management. There's so many things. If you like to really dig into your campaigns and you want to see all the data, it's so clean in the way it's laid out inside Sellozo. And you can do a lot of filtering, sorting. So simple things like if you wanted to look through a campaign and filter out every keyword that has 0 conversions in the last 60 days, you can do that. It'll filter them out, and then you could select them all and you could pause them. You can do all kinds of bulk things like that. Another thing that you could do really easily is, let's say it's Black Friday or the day before Black Friday, and you want to raise all of your bids 50%. You can do relative bid adjustments across the board. one click, raise all bids by 50%. Now you're set for being more aggressive during those times. So that's the kind of thing that can be very helpful, especially if you're doing it across multiple marketplaces. One thing I should mention before we keep going is it's very easy to switch between marketplaces inside Sellozo. You get all of them are included in one account. So you could just toggle between the US and your Canada, your UK, and make these adjustments. But the last thing I want to talk about is if you go to the next slide, if it's about the Campaign Studio, I want to touch on this is the heart of Sellozo. What Sellozo offers is the Campaign Studio. If you see up in the top right there, it's in the blue where you see the squares with the lines. Our Campaign Studio is a drag and drop workflow builder where you can connect campaigns. So you could have an auto campaign that's connected to a manual campaign that's all broad matches, that's connected to a manual campaign that's all phrase matches, and a manual that's all exact matches. Once you've set it up in our Campaign Studio, our tool will move the keywords and create the negative keywords through that flow for you. So if something converts in the auto campaign, it'll make it a broad match in the broad match campaign and make it a negative in the auto. If it converts in the broad, it'll make it a phrase and make it a negative in the broad. It'll work that flow every day for you. So that way you can have constant keyword discovery. It works the same for product targeting. I should say we also support sponsored brand and sponsored display inside Sellozo, as well as sponsored product. But this Campaign Studio, there's really not a flow that you can't automate. Whether you've got an auto campaign that's feeding both product keyword campaign that's exact match and a product targeting campaign that's just full of ASINs, and maybe a defensive brand campaign that's got all of your branded terms. You could connect all of those, have the keywords transfer between them, and have a different strategy, a different target ACOS for each campaign. So really, really powerful what this Campaign Studio can do for you.
Yeah, I love this, and because I'm visual, I got to see it. Like I don't want to check a bunch of boxes and say, okay, make this go here and this go. Like I want to see the campaigns. So being able to see the box, like this box is an auto and this box is a manual, and then I got a product targeting manual. There is no limitation, right, Dustin? You can link things from one campaign to the next. You can drag it back around. So being able to visually see that is what really gets me excited, because I don't want to look at just like drag drop down boxes and select things. Like I want to be able to see where my keywords are going, and that's why I think this tool really is helpful, especially for sellers that have complex ad strategies. We work with some big sellers, we got some big agencies, and they got a lot of different strategies. And this gives them the creativity, the freedom to create their own strategy within the platform, and then the software just takes care of all the transfer of keywords.
Yep. All right. I think that might be the last slide, or at least of this. You can go on to the next one. We'll see if there's another one here. Oh yeah, we talked about some of the reporting features as well. There are a lot of reporting features that are inside Sellozo. Financial reporting, a ton. I mean, we could go on forever. The best thing to do is just get in there, see it. It'll help you understand just the overview of your account and where you're at in your profitability. But I mean, just the last thing to touch on is, as a seller, I mean, Chris and I both have done this in the past. There was no tools, so we did this manually. It's the difficult part about doing it manually is, number one, time. Number two, taking emotion out of the equation. I mean, there's keywords that you'll fall in love with, but they're unprofitable, and it's hard to get rid of them when you need to. So those are the main things. But then doing it right. I mean, making the right adjustments. I mean, how much should I raise the bid? How low should I raise it? Sellozo is based on an algorithm that's been developed for the last 4 years. It constantly gets improved, takes into account everything possible. It's really every data point that we have goes into the decisions that the algorithm makes, including things like seasonality, et cetera. So just take that off your plate. It makes things a lot easier, and it lets you focus on the fun things, like expanding into new marketplaces. So that's a brief overview of Sellozo.
Wow, I mean, this is it's a very in-depth bit of kit. How clearly you guys are kind of living and breathing the software and its functionality every day, what proportion of sellers will handle using the software themselves? What proportion come to you, and what proportion would go via another agency that an account management agency?
Yeah, that's a good question, and that's what's really special about Sellozo is we do an onboarding call with every single client. So every new client gets a call with either Dustin and I, and we go with your account. And so we've done onboarding calls for months where we're talking to the same seller every other week because they've got questions, and we're just making sure that we've got those questions answered for them. But then we also get some other sellers that they know exactly what they want to do. They know the terminology. They know the strategies they want. They just want to get in the platform and start doing it themselves. And those are the easiest calls, obviously, because they're ready to go. Like, they're ready to move. So all kinds of sellers come through. The new sellers, I love talking to new sellers because it just keeps me more active in the space. I get to see what kind of problems they're having and get more creative on how to fixing it. And also showing them the power of PPC, because we talk about this on our podcast all the time. PPC is like an analytical mindset. Like, you got to like think about the numbers and make changes. Whereas like creating product pages and images is more of a creative mindset. So the terminologies kind of get somewhat different. So we work with all of them, and being able to do that onboarding call, I think that's super powerful because that actually gets people more involved in the software, and they actually understand really how it works and how it's automating some of those tasks that they're doing on a daily basis. The software is going to take care of all of it.
Yep. And I'll just touch on one other point that you brought up is we also have fully managed accounts. So if there are clients out there who either don't really have a full understanding of you don't need a full understanding of PPC by any means to use Sellozo, but they just want to offload even the concept of strategy or setting budgets and the target ACOS. We have a team that is phenomenal that can fully manage them. So we have the PPC agency solution on our end as well, which might be a good avenue for people to go if they're expanding and they're trying to launch a whole bunch of new campaigns. That's where it might be beneficial to utilize our managed plans in that regard. And we probably 30% of our clients are fully managed, 70% are self-managed.
And are some of them managed by other agencies who use the Sellozo on their behalf?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we work with lots of agencies as well who are either using Sellozo to manage their clients' accounts, or their client has Sellozo and the agency is using Sellozo to manage it for them. Exactly.
Okay. So a good question that's come in, which kind of which touches on that, is how manual is the setup? You were talking about the onboarding process. How manual is how in depth? I guess what it's trying to say is, well, how depth is this onboarding process to enable the software to learn? What does it take to get going?
Sure. Well, I can touch on that real quick. If you've got existing campaigns already, it's as easy as turning on the optimizer button and setting your target ACOS. So that's it. It's taking all the data from that campaign's history, and it will begin adjusting the bids daily on those campaigns. So you're talking about a very quick process, and you can do it in bulk. If you've got 100 campaigns, you could turn them all on at the same time, and you could run down the list if you've got a few different target ACOSs you want for your different campaigns, and click apply and go. If you're looking to connect them and link them, that's another 30 seconds. If you've got an auto campaign, you want to connect to a manual campaign, it would take 30 seconds to link it and set the rule and apply, and then it'll be automated in the future. Now, what Chris and I do on our onboarding calls is we will walk you through one or two of every one of those scenarios that you have. So we'll help you turn the optimizer on for some of your campaigns. If you want to link them up, we'll show you how to link them up. And if you come on self-managed, of course, after the call, you can do the rest, but it's very, very simple. Once we will make sure that you understand how to do it, and then it'll do it. And then it's just a matter of how many campaigns you have. If you've got thousands and thousands of campaigns and you want to have a different strategy for each one of them, there could be a little bit of work up front to set it up, but it's going to be automated from there on out. And you can also, one of the nice things is in the future, when you launch new products or you turn ads on for new products, it's basically one click, one button, and we can set up an entire complex campaign pattern all at once for that product and launch them all in one segment.
And something we did
languages too.
Go ahead, Ricky.
Does that work for different languages as well? Is that can we do this for international expansions?
Absolutely. Yeah, you can launch campaigns in every single marketplace. One of the benefits I would say to automating this, and this is a challenge going international, is a language barrier. So I mean, in any country where you're launching new products or expanding, the ability to have an automatic targeting campaign feed a manual targeting campaign will help you get converting keywords that are high conversion rates in that language. So automating that process can be very, very helpful, because all of us obviously don't understand the nuances of every language. And sometimes when you launch just a manual campaign, and let's say you use a tool to find a whole bunch of keywords, a tool like Helium 10 or Jungle Scout to find a whole bunch of keywords, and you put them into a manual campaign, you're essentially still doing a ton of testing on all of those keywords. So a lot of times it's really, really nice just to click one button inside Sellozo, it launches an auto link to a manual, and you're now discovering all the keywords that convert to sales in that language in that marketplace.
Well, I mean, for our international sellers, that's certainly a powerful tool.
Mm-hmm.
Final good questions come in. Typically, what size of seller is right for Sellozo?
We got all of them. We get all kinds.
All
I
of
mean,
them.
we have a client that just starts and they just want to run their PPC and they would just want to learn it. And then we get sellers that are doing millions a month and they get in there and do their own thing. One thing we haven't really touched on is we do a demo call first. So a lot of sellers come on, they just want to see a demo of the platform. They want to see what it looks like inside. That's the first initial touch point. And that's where Dustin and I just show them the software and show them how it really works. And so for new sellers, that's really good because they're actually able to see how it works before they sign up for something that they don't really understand yet. So all types of sellers. I mean, I've seen sellers doing a couple $100 a month to millions. So it really is. I know it sounds cliche, but all types of sellers.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Well, look, listen, guys. It's been a really insightful session to understand ways of not only optimizing your capacity to sell, but also the kind of added benefit of the double whammy of gaining time spend on other aspects of your business. So it's a real dual benefit that comes from it. I'm sure lots of people listening both now and after the broadcast will want to find out more about Sellozo and how it might work. But in the meantime, really appreciate having you guys on. I think it's something that that a lot of sellers will want to benefit from. And thanks everyone for listening. We're very pleased and excited to have you on our listening to the webinars. Please tune in again next week. Next week we're talking about creating copywriting and creating good A+ content. We've got another expert joining us for them, so be sure to tune in there. There's some details here of Chris and Dustin's contact details and ways of getting in touch. And of course, you can also get in touch with our team here at Global E-commerce Experts on the details right here. So be sure to link to our social media feeds for both Sellozo and for GEE to stay up to date with all of our news and activity that's going on. In the meantime, I wish you the very best of luck with your business expansions, and we'll see you again on a webinar soon. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.